Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It's July 14th, and my name is Dana Schwartz, and I'm part of the Corazon Healing Arts community. And this is a collaboration between Harmonious Essentials and Corazon. I just blended those, Corazon. Harmonious and Corazon, that's kind of a cute name. So we've been doing continuing education for about a year and a half now together. It's been wonderful. We started on Saturdays and we've moved into these Wednesday afternoons. And Avesa Love and Maddie Love, who we've collaborated with, we were chatting about how important it is to get more information to all of you, right? Share more information with all of you. And I privately, behind the scenes, have been helping, started off with my sisters. My family are, most of my family are Western medical doctors. So they were first, they went first. And so I was helping my sisters, my father, my stepmother, my mom, and then more and more. And what I will say is that my particular family is what we will call outliers, where we hit and encounter problems medically, right? It's probably why we've all become doctors or healers in our world, is because we wanted to learn and understand more. But I am the only one who has stepped into a more integrative path. So I'm also an acupuncturist and currently in the process of getting my national. So actually my studies are quite sharp these days because I'm spending many hours studying. So what I want to say to you as we get started here is that this is an offering that is not a medical claim. Okay, so it's not to say if this occurs for you, this is going to work for you. What I can offer you is that essential oils are powerful, and doTERRA has really worked hard at making our supplements very, very absorbable. So those two components, the chemistry of essential oils, right? Their chemistry, their cellular health, that's what they do. And then the nourishment that we can get from our supplements, this combination is actually where the magic happens. So let's dive in. I'm going to talk a little bit about philosophy and a vision, and then we'll dive into the goods. So I'm going to share my screen. Now, I appreciate you if you let me know if I have bad service or anything, because it's been terrible here. But I had all the neighbors turn their Wi-Fi off for us. I'm just kidding, but I did have I did request for a lot of Wi-Fi to be turned off. Okay, so let's just dive right in. So the first thing I want to talk about is actually laying foundational principles and laying a foundation, because yes, this is called vaccine aftercare, right? And I'm going to talk about really the things we can do after, but also before. And I want to say this is not to sway one person to go one way or another. I believe this is very much an individual choice. And at the same time, many of us feel that, you know, we have to really make a decision. And so I want to provide you with these tools. So if anyone's watched a sunrise or a sunset, right? Who here has watched a sunrise or a sunset? That to me is the beauty of natural pace of nature, right? There's never, a sunset is never rushed, nor is a sunrise. It happens always in its own timing. So natural medicine works at the pace of nature. So many of us are programmed to have a quick fix. So to say, oh, I have this problem, and then I put Copaiba on it, and now I'm better. Oh, it didn't work. Oh, I'm not going to keep trying, right? That is how we've been trained to think about maybe taking an Advil or a Tylenol that, oh, in a few hours we'll have a result, right? Natural medicine moves at the pace of nature, so we need to give it time. That also means that it's very helpful if it's also our daily habits, right? So those of us that have been in the doTERRA lifestyle know that we talk a lot about daily habits and that we're really putting deposits in the bank every single day. Right? We take our supplements, we're drinking our citrus in our water, we're doing these foundational habits. And if you haven't stepped into doTERRA, if you found yourself here in this moment, this is a big part of what we do. It's not about the quick fix because we're working in nature, right? We're working with nature, I should say. And then the second point here is that we are all very different. So what works for me may not work for, say, Melanie, or what works for Lisa may not work for Anne, or what worked for my mom may not work for my sister, right? Because we all come to the table to this very moment with many days behind us, right? And so whatever has been happening in those days, years, months, matters, right? And so we talk a lot about the root of health in Chinese medicine. We go to the root. There are actually theories of root and branch where you treat the root or the branch. We're doing a little bit of that here, okay? We're doing a little bit of that here because we want to take note of, say, let's say somebody had a chronic digestive issues. So we want to make sure that we're protecting and caring for the digestive system through any kind of stress. So we could label the vaccine stress. It's a stress on the system that's training the body to do something it's never done before, right? So without getting into emotion around it or yes or no, it's this or that, we can just say that it is putting a stress on the body. We know that. Some people tolerate stress very well and they move through things very, very easily and very well, right? And others, one little moment of stress breaks them, right? So we're all different. So individualized protocols matter, and we always want to address that root, even when we're dealing with the very, very surface. Number 3, all of our body-wide systems are connected. So we can take that example of the digestion and say that we can focus and target on the digestion, and then we're going to help other processes of inflammation that might settle in the body, right? Because inflammatory reactions are higher on our list of reactions. So we want to take that into account. So maybe all this training we've been doing in doTERRA is the perfect training so that we can actually just think of systems versus problems, okay? Right, because inflammation, like for example, brain fog. Brain fog is actually inflammation of the brain, right? So that means that we actually want to think about like frankincense, DDR prime, some of these other anti-inflammatory products that we have. We don't label them that, but that's what they do. And then this last point is integrative medicine. Remember, integrative medicine, it seems as if right now our current paradigm is very much this or that, but actually integrative medicine is very possible. It's not one or the other, right? You break your arm, we're probably going to go to the hospital, right? We're probably not going to apply Copaiba if we break our arm. So there are bigger events in our life that we absolutely are grateful for Western medicine. And at the same time, if I go to the hospital because I've broken my arm, I'm definitely going to use oils, and I'm definitely going to use a lot of our supplements in my healing process, right? Once it's gotten bandaged up, we're going to move into that. A couple other key things that I want you to just write down, because I may not go fully into it, but concepts that are in natural medicine is venting a pathogen, keeping things from going deep in the body. That is something that's really what we want to do, is vent. So that's what I'm going to talk about. Please utilize the chat at the bottom with questions or comments or anything. The chat is yours to use, and I will definitely have some time for chatting in the end, okay? Let me continue on. I used a new program, so I think it's working really nice. So let's just start here. Know your baseline health. If you have made a decision, or you have a family member who has made a decision that they're going to get the vaccine, or they have gotten the vaccine, My recommendation is to be aware of your baseline health, like know where you are, and then start in this moment. Don't wait till the vaccine or after the vaccine. Start with that daily healthy eating and supplementation and movement and detoxing elements. So these are the 3 elements that we're going to really talk about. Those are the categories. And of course, yes, I will answer questions that come in as I see some questions coming in, but we'll continue on. So the time is now to focus on your best nutrition, no matter what, right? You're not going to get the vaccine. You are, whatever it is you already have. These are things we want to be doing now, right? So I know it feels as if the pandemic is over in this moment. I don't really believe that that is the case. Now, we all have our own feelings on that, and I don't want to have that conversation here, but these are things that every one of us can do. Increase our greens, especially fresh herbs like parsley, basil, coriander, oregano, marjoram. Focus on leafy greens, getting them in your body fresh if you can. I know it's a luxury. My biggest problem with herbs is that I don't use them all right away and they go bad. So throw them all in a blender, blend them up and make up a soup and add a little bit to everything you're eating. Oh, here's a little bit of these fresh herbs. A friend just taught me that. It's the best trick. Seaweed is a great thing. Algae, phytoplankton, chlorella, or spirulina. Now I know we don't have these things with doTERRA, the chlorella or the spirulina, so you can go find, you research a great brand for yourselves. Highly recommend bringing that into your system. I take 2 chlorellas a day. I just bring them into my supplementation. Increase the amount of fruit and vegetables. Do you know how many fruit and vegetables we're supposed to have every day? Does anybody know? 12 servings. 12 servings a day. So I eat really well, I have to say. I feel like I'm a pretty good eater. It's very rare that I have 12 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. That's one of the reasons why I take my Lifelong Vitality. I learned this the hard way personally, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But you still want to increase. You know, the other day I had a whole meal of cherries. They were delicious. It's easy to do that. But you want to have that. You just want to increase your fruits and vegetables. Want to remove as many processed foods and oils as possible. I just wrote here, canola oil is not an oil, a vegetable oil. So get that out. I'm sorry, there's an error here. It should be canola oil parentheses, and then coconut, grapeseed, and true olive oil are okay. Those are good oils. Canola oil, if you have that in your cabinet for the random time that a recipe calls for it, throw it away. You can replace it. You can use olive oil. It works just fine. It doesn't really influence the flavor too much. Coconut oil does. It does change the flavor. The reason why most recipes call for canola oil is because it doesn't have a flavor. It's synthetic. It's completely, there's no canola trees, right? Now, this isn't for always, but I do recommend taking out gluten around your vaccine because it is a hybridized grain, right? It has been messed with, and we're already dealing with synthetic components with the vaccine. So as many things that are going to enter into our body that are changed, let's just take it out and give our body a really great system for, I would say, about 6 weeks. If you're not gluten intolerant, then you can bring that back in. And then if you're eating grains, focus on the ancient, more hearty, complex grains, or just take them out. It's totally okay. That's just some basics. I don't want to tell you eat meat, not eat meat, eat vegan or whatever. You know what the diet is best for you. And if you don't, you have resources here within our community to make sure that we can try and find out. Okay, so I'm not going to focus on that, but these are some additional pieces that are highly recommended. Now, 12 servings a day, here's sort of some of the meat. 12 servings a day of vegetables is kind of impossible. So I love this quote from Dr. Josie: "You are not what you eat, you are what you absorb." I'm going to repeat that. You are not what you eat, you are what you absorb. Just a little warning, I'm going to talk about poop for a second, because as a Chinese medicine doctor, we talk about poop a lot, and If you're seeing undigested salads and veggies in your toilet after you've had a bowel movement, not absorbing it very well, right? That's a sign that you're not absorbing things very well. If you just see all that happening. And if you don't look, maybe I suggest that you do, okay? I am deeply impressed with doTERRA's ability to make our supplements bioavailable and integrate into our system. And the Lifelong Vitality Pack, which is here in this box, the kind of pastel green one, and I'm going to go through them real quick here. We do have a class, we go into them much more, is that baseline. So this isn't further after the vaccine or before the vaccine. And really, I wish that everyone would be on this all the time, because then what I really want you to take for aftercare is much more easily assimilated, right? Because we've already got that foundation and it doesn't feel like we're taking a lot of supplements. Our body is used to it. So those of us that have been taking this for years, we know, okay, and then we can pick from some of our additional ones. What would we think? So over here on the left-hand side are the extras that I'm going to talk about in a minute. But let's just start here with the E omega, the XE omega. That's our essential fatty acid omegas, right? So that means essential means our body doesn't make it. We have to get it from an outside source. These are our omega oils, plus there's a bunch of 9 essential oils like clove and frankincense, oils that we want to have in our body that are really potent and powerful. And this combination of many different chemicals from the essential oils that we take is super healthy for our bodies. So it targets the brain, skin, heart, and immune system and joints. So what do we hear a lot about after, when there are problems with the vaccine? If there are problems, some brains, like some skin, right, venting, some rashes can happen. Some brain fog can happen. There have been some cardiac, especially in youth, that have been reported, right? And then our immune system is learning how to do something different. So why we would not want to support it. Joints can be infected. So this is something that we should take every single day. I do recommend doubling it after you've taken the vaccine, doubling your dose. You can do that for a short period of time, like 2 weeks. Now the Microplex VMZ, the one here in the middle, that's the white pill when you see them, that is our vitamin and mineral complex, okay? Super easy to digest, which is great because a lot of vitamins like that we do not actually absorb. And this is actually one that's very, very supportive for our digestion and our metabolism. So again, you know, even with COVID, we want to support our metabolism, right? And so our metabolism is most certainly not just about losing weight, which is what we often have thought of, but it's about how all of our hormones are communicating with one another. Every single function in the body is really being informed from our metabolic pathways. It's pretty powerful. So it helps fight free radicals. That's definitely something that we want, right? We have jet fuel and all these toxins in the environment. What we don't want to do is add another layer on while we're not reducing. That's why the daily is so important. And then the alpha CRS, that some of you have heard me call it a fire hose, where it's just spraying down all the inflammation. This is also for energy, mental clarity, and cellular health. Look at the ingredients of these. These are going to help us process and detox. The alpha CRS is not just about energy. In fact, it's why when people first started, I tell them to take a half a dose, because many people, when they first start the Lifelong Vitality, do feel a little queasy and unwell because they're having a small detox reaction. Usually passes in a few days. So if that is you, if you've had that kind of reaction, I recommend starting again slowly, little by little. Now, some customization that you could do with this Lifelong Vitality is you could actually leave the alpha CRS off, although I don't recommend it. I think we want to take it all and replace it with the deep blue polyphenol, because that is specifically targeted for pain. So if there's any pain showing up, we could bring that in, and it's got frankincense, boswellia, the extract from frankincense, and also the extract from turmeric in there. So then we can add the other turmeric, our turmeric soft gels, the dual capsules on top of that, and it's going to be a powerful, very, very, very powerful reduction of inflammation in the body. Now, I have a lot of people that come to me and say, I have a turmeric over here, and I know about another turmeric, and I have this one. I will say this is the most potent turmeric, and it's not just because it's doTERRA that had ever occurred where you can take it in one day and feel a difference, right? I started off by telling you nature's pace. We want to take our time and give it time, but turmeric is one that's very, very powerful. You combine it with copaiba, and you're even strengthening it even more. So this little square on the left-hand side is absolutely the add-ons and the must-takes, and I recommend starting before you take your vaccine and then continuing afterwards. So you would just fold it into your Lifelong Vitality twice a day or 3 times a day, right? However you're taking it. You can do turmeric, 2 turmerics a day. You can do up to 5 copaibas a day, depending on what you're experiencing. For someone who's experiencing maybe some neuropathy, some numbness and tingling, you also might want to use the copaiba topically over the area. Okay, and then we have our DDR prime, which is to support our DNA, right? So this is a really powerful blend of essential oils that we want to take in during this time to support ourselves. And then the Terrazyme. Terrazyme helps our any kind of venting that we're going to experience. It helps us by helping us digest and process. It helps our metabolic pathways. So these all are really powerful and potent and supportive, but they're not going to overwhelm the body. Remember, essential oils, we metabolize essential oils, and that really quickly, and all of these have the essential oils in them except for the Terrazyme and the Deep Blue, right? And that's why you'll see the dosage on them. With the Deep Blue, you just need 2 a day, but you can take up to 5. You can, absolutely. So we have more things to share that is not just doTERRA. So of course we want to drink water. So you get that vaccine, you're going to drink, you want to walk in there so hydrated. So you can also drink coconut water. You want to remove caffeinated sodas, Cokes, flavored drinks, all of those things. Take them away. Drink water. If you don't like water, add your citrus to your water. It's going to be good for you anyway. I recommend the green mandarin or the tangerine. It's going to help. It's also going to help if there's any neuropathies happening, like we said before. Green mandarin's amazing that way. But let's look at the detox pathway. So I'm going to get a little bit more. I am going to run over. So those of you that are here to stay for the after program, we'll shorten it up, but I am going to run a little over. Not too much. I have just a few more slides, but let's start with our over here. One thing that I didn't say, which we'll get, I didn't put in the slides, is right after you get the shot, you're going to put frankincense or copaiba or both on the actual spot. That is super important, right? You want to rub that in, and you're going to move your arm as much as possible. We're going to talk about that, but you're going to want to move your arm. But one thing we've heard about, and now it's like we're 6 months in, we've heard a lot of armpit and lymph nodes swollen, and so much so that actually I think it was the CDC said don't schedule any mammograms for a couple weeks after your vaccine, right? So we want to make sure we don't want to have anything there. So this armpit lymph blend is actually something I use every day, not because of a vaccine or not, but it's just something because this is an area where we sweat, where we release a lot of toxins. It's also very close to the breast tissue, but this is for men and women. It's not just for women. And this is my blend. It's 10 to 15 drops of each: frankincense, wild orange, or tangerine. Just make sure you're not in the sun and you're around your armpit, because we're going to use citrus, grapefruit, pink pepper, geranium, and cypress. This is also going to help with any other concerns that we might have in this area, right? So you you actually really want to rub it in twice a day. You want to rub in that area. So you don't want to just swipe. You want to rub it in. And I then do recommend going under the breast line and just take that through. Twice a day. You can put deodorant on over it if you use it. I recommend doTERRA's. I actually don't find a need for deodorant with all these delicious oils there, but it depends, right? It depends. So that's a really important part. We want to support our lymphatic system. Other things to support our lymphatic system would be rebounding. Rebounding is when you're jumping on a trampoline. I didn't put that in the movement, but we'll throw that in here, okay? And so let's move on. Other oil practices. So we want to sweat, right? So we definitely want to sweat. We want to sweat and move things out of the body. Dry brushing is wonderful, but only if it's appropriate for you. If you have a lot of dryness already in your body, it may not be the right thing, right? So just see, but dry brushing, and we want to, take that towards the heart. But we want to open up our pathways. Open up all our detox pathways. So we do in doTERRA have a 30-day cleanse. You can do that, right? You can follow along with that, or you can do what I'm suggesting, which is very similar, but not exact. There's difference. But you want to make sure you're having regular bowel movements, right? So if you're taking all these supplements and you're drinking all the water and you're not having bowel movements, we need to check in and see what's going on, because you really should be having at least 2 bowel movements a day with all these detoxing products running through you. If you're not even having one, then we want to make sure that we're getting things moving. And a really nice way is to do some abdominal massages. You can even use DigestZen on the abdomen to do that. Additional possible helpers that I didn't have on that other slide is the peppermint enteric capsules. I actually had to use these with my mother. My mother, she did 2 of the mRNA, the Pfizer vaccine, and on both of them, she has autoimmune conditions, and both of them, she had a malar flush on her cheeks about a week after the vaccine. So she got really red here and a little bit here. So it was, so I said, oh, do you have any peppermint enteric capsules? And she said, I do, because I set my mom up to have everything there. And the next day she woke up and the redness was gone. But her reaction when she first got her shot was nausea. So that's what made me think of the peppermint for her. And then to think this area here is digestive. So I said, oh, let's cool down her digestive tract. And I also know her health history, that she is very compromised digestively, right? So this is how we start to pick and choose. Now, Yarrow Pom is wonderful. It can cleanse the blood. So if you tolerate Yarrow Pom really well, you can add that into your post-vaccine routine, where you take a few drops every day. It works really well together with Terrazyme to do that when we take Terrazyme on an empty stomach. So that's another really great helper to add on. Now, a lot of my friends are at the doTERRA Diamond Retreat, and there's a science panel there. And so Evasa just sent me a little text saying, I'm going to read it to y'all. She's saying, the science panel are sharing how eucalyptus has been shown to block COVID-19 spike protein from connecting to our receptor cells and also slow its viral replication. So eucalyptus is an On Guard. It's in On Guard Plus. So we could take that, because what we're doing with those mRNAs, we're actually generating spike proteins, and we want to keep that spike protein on the surface doing its job in the immune system, not going down into any organ level, right? So On Guard and then Breathe would be great to diffuse. So I don't know the history or the background of that. Maybe Evasa will tell us more when she gets back. Okay. Then there's also PB Assist. So the On Guard Plus, let's say you've been taking DDR Prime now for like 3 weeks, and I said, maybe you want to do this for about 6 weeks. You could then shift and do On Guard Plus, and then you could go back to the DDR Prime. So you don't have to take them both at the same time. And this is what I want you all to start to get comfortable doing. is saying, okay, I'm going to do a little bit of this now, because that polychemical power of using different kinds of oils that can tap into different cellular receptors that are in need is actually the magic of what we have, right? So we have these nourished cells from the lifelong vitality, because remember, essential oils have no nutrition. So we have these nourished cells, and then we have the oils that can go in there and help them and say, oh, you know what, this cell's not doing so good, goodbye. Let's help escort you out of the body. We don't want you duplicating. But this cell, we're gonna just clean up and stay nice and healthy and replicate, right? So that's what they do. They help our body do what it should be doing. So additional therapeutics that I want to talk about that are really important. Acupuncture. Now, it's not just because I'm an acupuncturist that I'm saying this, but acupuncturists see their patients way more often than doctors, okay? Acupuncturists sometimes see their patients weekly. So I recommend seeing an acupuncturist if you're going to get the shot beforehand. So they know what your pulse is like, they know what your system is like, and they can tell you, oh, this is how your body is reacting with your pulses. Also in acupuncture and Chinese medicine, we have powerful formulas and herbs. And this is not something that you can just go on Google and try and figure out what the best formula or herbs are for you, because they are very personalized, right? Remember that point of individualized medicine. Acupuncture is that way. It's actually one of the things that limits clinical studies and trials, is because we look at the one, right? N as one. They're starting to do N as one clinical studies, but that's one person with all the different treatments, because one person has their own history, as we talked about. Infrared saunas are wonderful to help the body sweat and detox. Epsom salts baths are great with frankincense and rose. Cypress could be nice in there. Vetiver could be nice in there. Now, of course, you should definitely be nourishing with vitamin D and vitamin C. And this is not a doTERRA product, but I highly recommend it. It's by Lidl. It's a homeopathic vaccine detox. Now, this will go into years past. So if somebody has a long-standing vaccine injury, this is a great product. It's about $15 to $20. You'll find it very easily. Use the whole bottle. It says 2 weeks. We've never had an mRNA vaccine before, so use the whole bottle, right? And then fulvicumic complex. This is a remineralization product. You can look that up yourself. There's a couple, I think there's a brand called Boo out there, but it's very helpful on that bone level if you're feeling depleted on that bone level. But hopefully we've done a good job of keeping it out of the bone level. I realized I skipped over this little area of SOC. This is Symphony of the Cells. Hopefully you know what that is. Now, if you don't know what that is, we will do a continuing education eventually. This is one of their older books. And there's a bunch of protocols where we apply the oils to the back of the spine. I recommend the day or the next day that you have, that you receive your vaccine, that even if you can't have someone do it, that you apply those oils on the spine. So the inflammatory one is the most important one that I'm going to read to you, which oils they are. So you have that. But I recommend that you get the booklet so that you can actually move through these four protocols: the inflammatory, the lymphatic, the solar, and the maxim. And you could do one a week. But I'm just going to read to you the inflammatory one. I just lost the page. Sorry about that. The inflammatory one. So it's frankincense. This would be the layering. Frankincense, the carrier oil, fractionated coconut oil. We're doing this on the spine and the feet. Melaleuca, wintergreen and birch, aroma touch, lemongrass, Siberian fir, helichrysum, deep blue, and peppermint. You can trade out the peppermint for spearmint if you would like. That's great. So I'll read that one more time in case I did that too quickly. This is the inflammatory protocol for the Symphony of the Cells. First, it's frankincense. Then you apply that on the spine. Then you apply carrier oil, then tea tree or melaleuca, wintergreen. If you happen to have birch, go ahead and use that. Massage blend, which is aroma touch, lemongrass, Siberian fir, helichrysum, deep blue, and peppermint. So the peppermint or the spearmint at the end is to intensify the reaction. And then you're gonna rest, maybe even get under a bunch of blankets and allow a sweat to occur, right? So when we sweat, we're releasing, right? So what we're doing, we're helping the vaccine stay at that surface level and not go where it's not supposed to go. Okay. More on this, more suggestions. Movement. This is really important, really, really important. No heavy working out the day before or the day after, no heavy lifting. Now, that seems kind of strange, right? But anaerobic cardio is not recommended. You're not going to see this around a lot. This is a personal recommendation that I'm making and that I've heard of quite a few doctors, but you're not going to see it loudly spoken about. And this is because we saw in especially male athletic teens, myocarditis. And especially those that were lifting weights. And we can understand, think about it. Anaerobic activity is when you're actually breathless and your heart is beating so much. So the heart and the blood is pumping through your body. And whatever else is in there is going through that. So we don't want that. You can do other light kind of walking, yoga, bar, stretching. A gentle, low impact workout would be great, right? So I work out on my Peloton and I just did a low impact ride, like a 20-minute ride. That's what I would suggest if you were to get it. I wouldn't suggest a 45 or an hour spin ride, no, right? So you wanna move that arm, I already talked about that, but then you wanna continue for at least 6 weeks, but of course for your life. And that might just be walking, whatever it is, make sure you're finding your sweat. And I don't mean for hours upon hours to exhaust your body. I really only mean for 20 to 30 minutes a day. Just making sure that you're flushing out your system. Now, time in nature is super important. Walk barefoot on the beach if you can. Or if you have grass in your backyard, go lay on there, belly down. If you're blessed to live near forest, take a slow walk in the forest. Breathe in that biome, the earth biome. Take in early morning sunlight, right? We're all layering so much sunscreen on, but that we want actually pure sunlight, and that early morning light is so healthy and non-invasive. So take in morning light, let it come in your eyes, let it come into your whole body. So again, I'm repeating, Chinese herbs are powerful. So all of these things that I have suggested, there's a bigger issue, right? We see some of these bigger issues that come up online and we see some problems that might happen. If there's a bigger issues, find and partner with an herbalist. Don't self-diagnose, but get on a Chinese formula as soon as possible, right? Ideally, have one around ahead of time, one that is great for your constitution if you can, right? Fermented mushrooms are also a great addition if you can't get to a practitioner. And this is a good brand, Anita Sunstar. So you can work with mushrooms, they're really healing that way too. Or you can find a homeopathic practitioner for more complex needs. These are great additional therapies to support your system. Now, if someone's brand new and they feel very overwhelmed, if you're here and you don't have anything, this is a great kit to start, the Daily Health Habits Kit. And if you have additional needs, I recommend getting it the second month so you can add on those extra supplements. A lot of those supplements you can add on for a much cheaper cost. So work with who invited you here to help you find the best cost of all of these things that you want. And you can take it, month by month for sure, because I highly recommend setting the stage. Again, as we called it, post-vaccine care, but you want to set the stage and then step into your process, and then make sure that it's just a smooth process. And I have had enough people now go through this process to know and feel confident enough to say, try it. I can't say it's going to cure anything, but I can say that it's going to be very effective at helping you keep that at the very surface and not go deeper into your body. Any questions? Any comments? Nothing. I know I did that fast, but not fast. No questions?
I have
Dana, there are questions in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, there are. Thank you. Oh, my image was freezing. Darn it. Okay, well, hopefully. Avocado oil is great. Yes, I agree. You would take away the alpha CRS if only because you felt like you were taking too many things. Some people feel like they're taking too many things, but Shula, you've been taking a lot for now, so you know.
I was just wondering
That's the
for other people.
Yeah, no, so you would only decide to switch it out, and then you maybe switch it out just to stay really clean with what you're doing, but you don't have to, because you know we have the daily nutrient pack and we can add on as well there. So that's really it's just an option.
Okay. I
You
missed
missed what I said
when you
about
were,
Symphony of the Cells.
yeah, like you were saying something about the inflammatory one, but
I'll read you the ones. Yeah. So there's the inflammatory protocol. There's the lymphatic
yeah,
protocol, the
Solar.
solar protocol, and the Maxim protocol.
but you were saying like how many times to switch them around, or
Do 1 week. Yeah. So you could do one each week.
oh,
and
one
then
a week, that's what
repeat.
you said. Okay. Thank you.
Now, if you don't have anyone to apply it to you, you can also make a big batch. And because you're just applying it to your upper neck and then your lower back, you could say, okay, I'm going to do the immune one every day myself, just in the morning and at night, just kind of put it on my feet and my body. And you could do it that way too. Or if you're fortunate to have someone at home, I know some people even have their kids do it, just layer it on their back. Yeah.
And it's probably not the same thing as layering, but can you make a roller?
You could, but it's better to layer. It is better to layer.
Okay.
But you could, for sure.
Okay.
No other questions or comments? Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.